We're back with another episode of the Inspiring Women in CX podcast, a series dedicated to real talk conversations between women in customer experience and technology. For Series 8, we're raising the bar, pushing boundaries, sparking bold ideas and challenging the CX status quo. Expect fresh perspectives, fearless discussions and a celebration of women driving change in our industry. I'll be your host, Claire Muscat, and in today's episode, I'll be talking to a seriously inspiring lady from the UK about smashing silos in CX. With over 15 years experience in CX and insights, she's passionate about amplifying the voice of the customer. Known for turning data and research into powerful, actionable insights, she helps businesses optimize operations, refine strategies, and elevate the customer journey. Her expertise lies in transforming customer feedback into decisions that make real impact and foster long-term success. Allow me to introduce you to today's inspiring guest, Obi Santos. Hi, Ovi.
Hi, Claire.
Welcome to the Inspiring Women in CX podcast. It's absolutely fantastic to have you with us today.
Pleasure to be here. Super excited.
Yay! And welcome to everybody who's listening or watching wherever you are. So, Obi, we're going to do it in traditional Inspiring Women in CX style, and we're just going to jump straight in. So, would you like to share with our listeners a little bit more about your career journey and how you ended up where you are today?
Yes, no. So I studied psychology and sociology at the London School of Economics. Great for many reasons. So the degree was fantastic, but also made great friends and enjoyed studying whilst I was there. So a pleasurable experience. However, it's quite a broad degree and a broad discipline. So after finishing that, I was a bit like, what do I want to do with my life? And then I decided to go work for a beauty company. And I actually started as a customer service advisor. And it was only supposed to be temporary. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'll just do this for a couple of months whilst I figure out what it is I really want to do, what I'm going to enjoy, you know, what my passion is, what I'm going to really enjoy investing my time in. And as I was doing that, I loved it. And I loved it for many reasons, because naturally with my psychology degree, I do have an interest in people. Yeah. And how they function, how their mind operates. And when you're doing that role, you are hearing people day in, day out. You're understanding their experience, understanding their pain points, understanding what delights them, understanding just how the customers tick. And I think from then on, I developed a real love for customer and a real passion for making their experiences better. Yeah. So in that beauty company, I worked my way up, ended up managing the team, doing all sorts of customer experience operational aspects. And then as my career's developed, obviously I've transitioned as well. And I've really gone, okay, what do I really love? And funnily, so when I finished my degree, I actually did a course in market research. So I knew like research insights was also another area that I could explore. Yep. As my career's transitioned, I've moved more into insights and that side of CX. And it's allowing me to marry my passion for understanding customers, my passion for psychology, my passion for insights, and bringing it all together. So I feel like I've really landed where I'm meant to be and sort of gone full circle almost, but landed exactly where I'm meant to be. And then now I'm working for Vivo Barefoot. They are a natural health company. They do that through footwear. So from the feet upwards, you can really improve your health. But also wellness is such a passion of mine. So outside, let's, remove the scope of sort of career and professionalism. Outside of that, what I do in my spare time, a lot of it's focused on wellness anyway. So I really feel like now I'm home. So I'm marrying my passions from a career perspective and my passions from a personal perspective. And I've really found a great role that allows me to improve the end-to-end experience for customers and doing that through dissecting insights. So it's fantastic. I've had a pleasurable 17 years in the customer experience space. And when I say that, I'm like, oh, that's a long time. But it's been a good journey and I've really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's so inspiring to hear. Being able to tie all of those things up together in a gift with a little bow around it. It's so rare to be able to fuse all of your passions together, isn't it? And yeah, that's super inspiring. And it really resonates with me, actually, because I started on the front lines of customer service too, actually in hospitality, and worked my way up to general manager in operations. also, so very similar. And for me, it was the same thing. I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. And my degree, my master's was in marketing. And I guess it is that kind of real world experience, isn't it? Of them being able to see all of these theories that you learn actually playing out in reality and being able to, I guess, like fundamentally make things better for people has been a red thread that's flown all the way through my career, even obviously now with Women in CX. So yeah, it really resonates with me. And the wellness side, yes, such a important part, I think, of our ability to be resilient and to continue despite the challenges that we have. If we're not looking after our well-being and our health, we'd have nothing, do we? So it's really awesome
Precisely.
to hear that we have that shared passion, but really excited for you that you're able to live that out in your career as well. So today we're going to be talking about smashing silos and the real work behind Joined Up CX. So let's go into the deep end of this. Why do you think it's so hard to break down the silos in CX?
Oh, I think it is a challenge. And I think it's a challenge for many reasons to break down the silos. So first of all, I think you have different teams looking at different data sets. So they're all operating differently to start with. So
different priorities.
Different priorities, different KPIs, different data sets. Ultimately, they're all chasing the same thing, right? Because really it is about the customer. That's what I fundamentally believe. And I think it's about creating the right experiences for that customer, but we're all doing it. We're all pieces of the puzzle and we're all separated, and somehow we need to get joined up together to really paint that beautiful picture. But yeah, I think a lot of the data sets we're looking at is very siloed. So you could have somebody in your digital team, say UX, they're looking at a product that's online, it's not converting very well. And they're saying, okay, actually, maybe it's the design of the website, it's the layout of the PDP that's causing the issue, and that's what we need to look into. Yet you'll have somebody in customer services and your support center saying, actually, customers are complaining the description's missing a key information. And then you might have, myself that works in CX and more insights and looking more at survey data. You might have some data from there as well that's pointing to something else. But actually, how do we get all of that together so we can really paint a picture of what the true issue is and create a shared understanding amongst all the teams that have a hand in building that experience. And I think the challenge does relate some of it to culture within businesses because it depends on how you operate.
Yeah.
If you want to overcome that challenge, you could get everyone together regularly. And that helps because then it's actually creating that shared understanding, and you can do it in a fun way. Whether it's workshops, journey mapping sessions, but if you get the right stakeholders from various teams together and you're saying, look, this is the problem. What's your view of that problem? What are the metrics that you've been looking at? How are you trying to solve that problem? And can we all get on the same page about the true issue and how we fix it? I think that's so important. So that's one aspect. I also feel that our data's siloed as well. So we don't necessarily always help ourselves in CX. We're looking at one source of data, let's say customer service tickets, for example. And we might take that as gospel to say, well, nobody's complaining about X, right? Or nobody's complaining about the website at the moment. I think it's really must be functioning well. But then if you look at another data source, and let's say you're looking at your post-purchase survey data that's coming in, customers may be writing there, oh, actually, there was an issue while I was trying to purchase something. I found that this wasn't working on the website, for example. Those two pictures are completely different. Yet, if we only look at one siloed data source, we're thinking there's not a problem. If we look at another source, well, actually, there is a problem. And actually, I think what I've really worked on in the last couple of years, and I'm very passionate about, is how do we connect everything? How do we make sure our people are connected, but also our data sources are connected, and that we have this holistic view of what's going on, so we really know what to prioritize. We really know how we work together as a team better, because we're focusing on the key areas that need fixing. So I'm really passionate about doing that and not just looking at something in isolation, not working in isolation, but really working as a team, but working as a team across people and across data does help.
Yeah. So really it's about getting the data and the teams to talk to one another, about clarifying beyond any doubt what the real issue for the customer is, and then collaborating together to find and solve the root cause of that so that we can deliver a better outcome ultimately. Yeah, that's super clear.
I think it's definitely about that. And I think this also translates to, what do you think CX is? And we could have a debate about that. But it also translates into that, because I think when you have a shared understanding of what CX is in your business, that can then lead people to work together in the right way, in the right capacity, because they all understand what it is we're coming together to do and why we're doing it and the importance of doing that. People have various different interpretations of CX, as I'm sure you well know, Claire. And I think, just understanding the interpretation, and I'm happy to share my ones. CX is a mindset. It really is. I think customer experience is a mindset. I don't think it's a function. I don't think it's a reporting department, and I don't think it's about just NPS solely.
It's not a metric.
It's not a metric. It really is a mindset, and it's how do you cultivate that mindset to create a shared understanding of the customer.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And definitely getting that clear up front at a strategic level is critical if you want to join things up further down the line. But I guess quite often as CX professionals or leaders or managers or people working in that space, quite often it ends up being more of a ground up swell, doesn't it? Of being able to even identify that we need to do that. So yeah, anyone who's listening, don't be afraid if you've not managed to do that yet. But see if you can get it on your roadmap for your strategy and getting the senior team joined up on what it means.
And as somebody that likes optimizing, so I like consistently improving, whether that's myself and that's my wellness journey, or whether that's work and that's the experiences customers are having, I'm constantly improving. I understand that the challenge is never fully overcome. And if it is, then
it's never finished yet.
No, it's never. And also, if it is, that would be boring. If it was ever finished, you'd have nothing to do. You wouldn't be stimulated enough. So I like the fact that the challenge is always there, and there's always different challenges. But with that thought of always optimizing, it's don't be worried if you're not there yet. Everyone's on a journey, and we get there when we get there. And then when you've got there, there'll always be something else to overcome. But that's what keeps everything enjoyable in my eyes.
Yeah, and evolution as opposed to revolution. Quite often you'll experience less resistance if you allow things to unfold more organically and let one step lead you to the next, rather than thinking, hey, I've got the perfect strategy and I've got to work through all of these points and everybody's just going to jump on board and invest in it and get buy into what I'm proposing. But actually the reality of letting it be that kind of ground up swell that comes from the people themselves by them engaging and getting involved in this is often a more sustainable way to do it. So from your experience, what's helped shift things from a disjointed CX effort to something that really works across the board? And what is it that tends to trip teams up along the way?
So from my experience, I do think it's that cross-functional getting together and being purposeful about it. So whether that's a weekly meeting and you're pulling in different stakeholders, or whether that's a monthly meeting, obviously everyone's capacity differs, but I think it's really about that cross-functional working and making sure that different teams are represented. But then we can't, even in that one meeting is not going to solve everything. And the CX department can't be everywhere and anywhere in terms of in all important meetings where we're talking about what to prioritize, how to think about the customer. So then it becomes how do we set ourselves up for success? And how do we ensure perhaps there's representatives? So within different teams, you have a CX representative, because really if CX is a mindset, anyone can adopt it, right? I know there's the fundamentals of the day-to-day that need taken care of, but actually everyone in the business can adopt that mindset. And if everyone's adopted it, you could have CX champions within teams. And actually that means then when any conversations are going on within that team that you're not privy to, they're already championing for the customer, and they're talking about, oh, have we thought of this from the customer's perspective? Have we questioned if we have any insights on this that would help us make a more informed decision that would resonate better with our customers. So they're always thinking customer, customer, customer. And I think that can only be done if you have those champions within different teams. And again, I guess it points to not having CX siloed, not having CX as just one function or one department that looks after it solely. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. I think my issue with like CX as a mindset in isolation, not saying that you said that at all, is quite often it can turn into platitudes. So things like we put the customer at the heart of everything we do, well, customer is king, all that kind of language. It might be written on a wall somewhere. But for me, I think you've got to harness the momentum and somehow systematize it. So how do you build in this mindset into actual systems and processes that mean that the culture can change if it needs to, or be maintained if it's been reset? So I think there's, traditional CX thinking tends to really gravitate towards a shared set of KPIs, doesn't it? Like things that are easy to manage, but the reality of humans is it doesn't work the same way. You might have a shared set of KPIs, but what you said right at the start, everybody's looking at different data, everyone's driving their own agendas. It's easy to lose that cohesion. Whereas I really love the example with Amazon where they talk about customer obsession, but it's actually baked into their processes. So like if they're pitching a project, they've got to have done that thinking around what's in this for the customer, as well as the commercial staff. They have to have proven where the value is for the people that they serve. And no idea is going to get through if that thinking it hasn't been done, if that insight isn't there, if that data hasn't been drawn together to say what the problem is and what the root cause is. So yeah, and I really love the idea of champions as well, because you can't engage absolutely everybody to the same degree, but if you can create a smaller group who take accountability or responsibility or even just like passionate enthusiasm for driving that within their own teams or departments. But yeah, so for me, I think, yeah, that kind of systems and processes to help to drive that culture. But also I think like there's another point you touched there, is it's kind of like the governance, isn't it? And I'm not a fan of bureaucracy, but you do need the leadership team at least to be part of this and them to be joined up around the C-suite table about what customer experience, the objectives that we're trying to driving that mindset, if that's the word we want to use, or that culture around customer orientation. So yeah, I think it's super interesting. And in different companies and different industries and in different B2B versus B2C, healthcare versus retail, it is always going to be different, isn't it? How that business brings that to life. And I think CX needs to get away from this kind of one size fits all approach of there's a framework that's going to work for everybody. That's part of the job, isn't it? Is to figure out what do we need to do for our business in this situation, in this climate, in this environment, with our politics that exist, to be able to bring that together. Sorry to interrupt your listening, but I just wanted to take a moment to tell you a little bit more about Wix. We're the world's first online membership community for women in customer experience. Our mission is clear, and that's to unleash the power of women to lead the future of human-centred business. Working in CX can feel lonely at times. We're often single-handedly trying to change the way organisations think and behave about customers. On our paid platform, you can discover a vibrant tribe of fellow female professionals, find support from knowledgeable peers, learn best practices from experts and practitioners, and be inspired to up your game through leading-edge CX and EX thinking. If you feel like you aren't making enough progress with your CX objectives, are unsure about what your next move looks like, or struggling to achieve your career ambitions, you're not alone. To learn more about membership, see how women are progressing personally and professionally with the support of the #1 community in CX, you can apply to join us today by visiting www.womenincx.community/membership. I really hope I get to see you there soon. So what's one change you think could make the biggest difference in helping organisations to work together better and deliver real impact?
So I think it's the onboarding.
Okay.
And if you start from the very start, when you've got new members working for you, new employees working for you, how are you educating them on, and to your point about systems, processes, and embedding that, how are you educating them on, okay, this is what we view, and like, there are differing opinions of what customer experience is. So again, it's what does your business view customer experience to be?
Yeah.
And because we view it like this is the input we need from you. So what's really great at Vivo is we take a very feedback before action approach. So what that means is before any changes are made, everyone's asking the right question. What impact will this have on the customer? So whether that's our digital team, whether that's our operational sort of fulfillment team, whether that's our customer service team wanting to make a change, any changes that have been made, we ask, what impact will this have on the customer?
Nice.
And that's a way of working.
Yep.
That's not necessarily a mindset. Yes, it's driven by the fact that we want to put customer at the center of everything, but actually it's just a way of working. It's a way of reaching out to people and saying, and the right people, and saying, do you have any insights on this? Do you have any data? Do you know what impact you think this will have on the customer if we make X change? And I think we're so good at doing that at Vivo, and actually that speaks volumes to the success that we have, and why if we create certain projects that actually they deliver the results we're expecting. So I think, feedback before action, but that has to be embedded in the onboarding. So when you're bringing people on board, okay, just letting them know ways of working. This is how we like to work. And it's why it's important, and what success that's been delivered because of that way of working, I think is crucial.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of systemization of a mindset for sure. And you could probably take it further, couldn't we? Like from recruitment, or we're getting people that have that mindset to start with, because we're not going to be very fruitful if we recruit people who don't think like that in the first place. Like you said, within like onboarding, job descriptions even, and setting out a set of behaviours within the job description, of which that feedback before action mindset, way of working is explicit within that. Like ongoing performance evaluation, rewarding and recognising those behaviours that are desirable in terms of being joined up and collaborative, and not let's say penalising is probably not the right word, but providing coaching, and I don't know what the opposite of reward and recognition is. If the wrong behaviours are being displayed, like performance recognition in terms of like reward probably as well, measurements around not just the outcome of a customer experience, but also the input to that. I think particularly like with customer service interactions, how do we support colleagues to on the job be living that mindset on a day-to-day basis? Because the most important thing is customers feel it, right? And there's nothing worse, I know, for me as a customer, getting stuck in a silo where the customer journey is broken down in a handoff between two teams. You just want to get something done, and it's almost impossible to make it happen. But yeah, I think that's a really, really good example of systematization and the people aspect of systemizing. I'm saying a word that doesn't even exist. I'm doing a Donald Trump, aren't I? Bigly. Systematizing something that's a vision and a way into a way of working into something that is measurable and quantifiable. So thinking a bit more about your story then, is there any like particular barrier or challenge you've had to overcome to be the woman that you are today?
Yes, there's been many challenges, but like one that springs to mind is, so I was very lucky when I started out working. I had a great boss who was a mentor and an ally. I didn't have to seek this out. This was gifted to me. And by gifted, I mean, at the time I remember, and I still recall this very clearly, he said, look, to be honest, I don't know much about customer experience. He was the chief finance officer. So he was like, I don't know much about customer experience. However, if you need anything, come to me. And true to his word, anytime I needed anything, I could come to him. And the importance of mentorship and allyship as you're working from a professional perspective, I think the challenges I've had is where I've had that gifted to me at early stages of my career.
Oh, yeah.
I was a bit spoiled for that. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I need to now go out and seek that. I need to be intentional. I need to put effort into cultivating those relationships, because not every business has a structured program. Some do.
No.
And it's easy if they've got a structured mentorship program. That means you can apply for something and you can get a mentor and you can work together and there's some sort of cadence. But sometimes you do need to learn, okay, I need to do that myself.
Yeah.
And I think the challenges, and depending on organizations that you've worked in, I've worked in some that have perhaps felt a bit like a boys' club. And it's like, okay, how do you find the right mentor? How do you build that relationship? How do you find your allies? But the importance of it, honestly, can't be underestimated. For career progression and just for enjoyment of your work, and just getting advice from somebody who's potentially overcome some of the challenges that you're going to encounter, and they can really support you. But yeah, you need to be intentional about it, and I've learned that. And I'm still, even to this day, and even though I've got a certain level, if you like, in my career, I'm still seeking, okay, who can be a mentor, who can be an ally, who can really support me, who can get me to the next. I'm very ambitious, so who can get me to the next level that I want to get to. And I'm constantly thinking about that, but you have to give thought to it.
Yeah, and like you say, take action. If it isn't a structured program that gifts it to you, and I think definitely as women, we have to create that for ourselves. I think that mentorship and allyship, absolutely. And for me, I just, again, would take that a step further and say sponsorship. Somebody senior who's going to talk about you and your work when you're not in the room, who's going to open up those doors, who's going to go into battle, particularly if you're working in the CX space, like the sponsorship of somebody who's sitting at that table, because you can't influence everybody all of the time. You need somebody who, when you go to the board and you present something, you've got your ally there, your advocate there, speaking on your behalf, supporting you, positioning it, why this is important. And I think community is great, isn't it? With the mentorship, the peer-to-peer support element, being able to reach out to other women who maybe have gone through something that you're trying to figure out, and they can just share their story with you or ask for advice from, I think, sometimes actually diverse organisations, and how they've handled things differently can be inspiring. And yeah, I just wondered, kind of second to last question, how's being part of a community impacted your personal or professional journey, or both?
From a professional perspective, obviously women in CX, I mean, great bunch of women getting together, but it's people that really understand the challenges, right? So if you're part of a community that, from a professional perspective, that's in your discipline, a lot of people would have gone through what you've gone through. And they will fully understand the challenges, and you can come together, get advice, but also have a bit of fun as well. And that's so important. I think the older I get, the more I realise life really is about balance. And it's great that we're passionate about our work. It's great we're ambitious women, but you also need to have that fun element to it. That's what makes it all worthwhile as well. And the relationships that you build via community as well, super important. But I think, women inspiring other women, or if it's other communities I'm part of as well, it's just seeing someone that's perhaps done what you've done or been where you want to get to, and just being able to get that advice from them is super important as well. And feeling that they really understand you it's definitely something I would, and if I can look back on my career again, something that I would say at a younger age, I wish I'd been more active in pursuing that community element. From a personal perspective, obviously I said earlier, when I went to uni, I had an amazing time, and actually I've got a lot of friends still, a great group of women friends still from uni. And they are honestly some of the most inspiring women. They inspirational in the sense that, they're all smashing it in their careers. And so that also helps. We're like-minded like that. But also they really hold me accountable. So if I set some goals, it's like, okay, great. How are you working on this? Are you achieving that? They're also people that I, down to earth, I can have a laugh with, I can talk to. And I think that aspect, again, you really need it. They help put things in perspective as well. And I think that's super important to have community via friends or community via networking. You've got to have different elements that make up your community bubble. I think that's important.
Yeah. Oh, it's like another little gift wrapped up with a bow then, your friendship group being your community as well.
It is. And sometimes we don't take time to really, it's quite nice that we're having this conversation, because as I take time to sort of step aside and
Reflect.
reflect. And I'm like, actually, there's so many things that have been gifted to me, which is great. And there's so many things I've worked for as well, which is great. And it's really just being proud of those achievements and being proud of the communities you're part of, the friendships that I've cultivated along the way, as well as being in a career that I absolutely love.
Yeah. And now as a senior woman, I guess you're becoming the person that others earlier on in their career now go to for that advice and that guidance. So I think that's one good thing about getting older. You get to start feeling that kind of, full circle moments of people experiencing the inevitable challenges of CX, but also being a woman in business. And it's like, oh, that old chestnut.
It is.
So I know I can help you. Yeah, being able to give back, exactly, precisely. So bringing this to a close now, Obi, it's been amazing. What would your top takeaway from this conversation be, or your one piece of advice you'd like to leave the podcast listeners with?
Find a way to bring people together, and find a fun way of doing that, because siloed people, siloed data does not work. You won't be able to achieve your goals. So find a way to bring your teams together, have a shared understanding of what CX means for your business, a shared understanding of how you'd like to work, and then have fun with it as well, would be my takeaway. Nothing's ever going to be perfect and challenges will exist, but how do we have fun despite those challenges, and keep optimizing?
Yeah, love that. So how can our listeners find you or connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me there. I may not be the fastest at replying, but I will get back to you. But they can find me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience with us today, Obi.
No, my pleasure. Honestly, Claire, it's been great chatting to you. And I'm hoping that the audience have found one or two valuable nuggets in this conversation. And if they have any questions, like I said, they can reach out.
Love it. So thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. We'll see you all next time. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Inspiring Women in CX podcast with me, Claire Muscat. If you enjoyed the episode and you don't already, please do drop us a like and subscribe to our channel. The bigger the following, the bigger the impact we can create in our mission to amplify the voices of women working in CX and technology. Well, that's all for now. See you all next time.